Welcome to Border City Ink, a look into the world of tattooing in and around Canada's border city. In this special, we'll be taking a look at a few local tattoo shops and getting to know the local artists who work and run those shops. We will start with a look into the history behind the tattoo industry.
Tattoos in this day and age are a very common body modification that you can find on about 38% of the human population. In fact, there is no country in the world that does not practice tattooing.
Humans have been marking their bodies with ink for thousands of years. These permanent designs have served as status symbols, declarations of love, signs of religious beliefs, and even forms of punishment. The earliest examples of tattoos have been recovered from tombs in Japan dating back to 5000 BC. The oldest known human to have tattoos preserved on his mummified skin is a Bronze Age man from around 3300 BC known as Otzi the Iceman, who has 57 tattoos.
Other early examples can be found on mummies of Egypt. Theory suggests that these tattoos were for decorative purposes. However, it has been pointed out that in ancient Egypt, tattoos may have been performed as medical treatment as well. Another interesting discovery about tattoos from Egypt is that these markings were only found on women. It wasn't until about 300 BC that they showed up on men.
In many ancient cultures, the art of tattooing is a tradition that has been handed down over thousands of years. In the Samoan culture, the techniques and tools have hardly changed over this period. The skill is taught and passed down from father to son. The tool used to give the tattoos is handmade from turtle shells and boar's teeth. Tattooing ceremonies are generally held to mark a younger chief's ascension to a leadership role within society. These tattoos represent and celebrate dedication to the culture and great endurance.
Jumping forward to the 6th century BC, the Greeks used tattoos as a way to mark slaves and criminals so that they can be identified if they try to escape. This practice was later adopted by the Romans.
Throughout ancient history, tattooing practices have been recorded on human remains all over the world, including Mongolia, China, Greenland, the Sudan, Russia, and the Philippines. They did not become common in America until the 20th century. Up until this time, they were mainly found on those in the entertainment industry. Fully tattooed people became popular attractions in the circus. One of the most famous tattooed people from the 1800s was John O'Reilly, known as the Tattooed Irishman. His elaborate and complete body art attracted and amazed audiences.
At this time, other than circus performers, tattoos were mainly found within the sailing community. Young sailors would be tattooed after joining as a form of initiation. The traditional art form continued to grow into a more practical purpose as seamen began to get tattoos that symbolized the different destinations they had been to. A turtle tattoo would mean that the sailor had crossed the equator. The well-known swallow tattoo indicated that the sailor had traveled 5,000 miles by sea.
The 1940s saw the birth of the iconic Sailor Jerry style of tattoos. Bold motifs and plenty of colors. Tattoos remain centered around nautical or military motifs, with a rise in patriotic tattoos due to World War II. Tattoo acceptance was on the rise. While it became trendy to have tattoos, those with them were more likely to be labeled as criminals or thugs. It wasn't really until the 1970s that tattooing became more mainstream and popular. Regular people were getting peace symbols and messages of peace on their bodies. Full-sleeve tattoos and bodysuits began to emerge during this decade on young people engaged in the counterculture. The music scene impacted tattoos in the 80s, the decade of rebellion. You began to see bold black outlines and colorful designs. Society was finally finding tattoos socially acceptable.
Today, 3 in 10 people have at least one tattoo, and 47% of millennials have more than one tattoo. Slow and steady, social acceptance has helped the tattoo industry grow larger and larger. From the talent of today's tattooists to the ink and machines to make their artwork possible, there is no limit to the art people can put on their bodies today.
Next, we move to the tattoo shop in Wainwright.
I would have opened this shop in 2008 or 2009. I've tried really hard to create this shop in particular for general everyday folk. I think what's happened with social media and the television shows around tattooing is that kind of gets somewhat of a industry that's sort of a bit elitist, where you go in and people don't feel as comfortable as they should. You know, maybe somebody wants something that's an everyday tattoo, and the artists in some shops can be really push their style, which is fantastic. I mean, it's great to be stylized in this industry, but I really tried hard to create a shop where it didn't matter who you were. If you're 86 and getting your first tattoo, or you're 16 and getting your first matching tattoo with your mom, I wanted people to feel comfortable, like they were able to get what they want and not feel like it was a bad decision or a bad idea. You know, I take a lot of time with my clients, and I think that type of shop is something that we don't see as much as we used to maybe before. When I think about what inspired me to get into tattoos, I'd probably have to say my family. I come from a really supportive family. Everyone's very artistic. I was just very fortunate to have parents that were very supportive of even the more kind of obscure industries, because for sure tattooing at that point was very obscure and kind of unheard of for women, and especially in that time. So I was just very fortunate to have people that supported me and supported my decisions, and I'd spent my whole life drawing with my mom, so I think I was just very lucky to kind of stumble into the career that I did. I started tattooing a little bit in high school. I had a friend that had some tattooing equipment, so I started kind of playing around with that. Certainly nothing very professional. And then did a number of different things, traveled a bit, tattooed while I traveled, and then did a formal apprenticeship in Halifax in 2001. And I did that, was there for probably 3 years. And then I've kind of traveled the world and opened a couple of shops, and this is my third shop now. When it comes to style, I think because I had been tattooing for so long, I was apprenticed in a generation where we had just gotten the internet. We weren't able to use it like we are today to source references and stuff like that. So you kind of had to draw on the fly. You had to be able to draw anything right then and there and tattoo it. So it's more of a street shop idea. And with a street shop, you have to be able to do everything. You have to be very versatile. So when you move into a small town, you kind of have to follow that same thing too. I mean, you have to be able to do everything that kind of gets thrown your way. And if you aren't, then you end up losing business and losing clients. And that's something that's really important to consider. If I were in the city, I probably would be a lot more stylized, or I would be a lot more streamlined into probably cover-ups and animal portrait tattoos. But I really, just for the most part, am a human photocopier. I do whatever people want me to do. You know, what really makes the tattoo industry kind of interesting is that every day I do something different. You know, you meet different people, you hear different stories, you get inspiration from their stories, you might get inspiration from their art piece, you might just get inspiration from, you know, if it's something that maybe is just like a tribal or a black design, which is just a piece of art for them, you kind of see the inspiration from doing the cleanest lines you can do, or the putting in the most solid black you can do. You just really, every day it's different, and I think I'm fortunate for that. I don't have to go to work to do the same thing every day. And at the end of the day, art is relative. I mean, I may not want to buy a blanket from a van on the side of the road and hang it up on my wall, but that doesn't mean that the art isn't good, and that doesn't mean that somebody else can't appreciate that art. Art is art. We wear different clothes, we listen to different music, we like different foods. Art is the same. You know, you can't push someone into liking something they don't like, and I think it's important to recognize what your clients want and the style they want it in, and if they just want something simple, then they just want something simple, you know, and that's important to listen to your clients. I've been really fortunate. I've done some pretty fun kind of tattoo ideas. My first year in Halifax, I had a guy who wanted a tattoo because all of his friends had a tattoo, but the only thing he could decide on that he thought he'd like for the rest of his life was ham sandwiches. So he got a ham sandwich about that big right on his arm. So that was kind of fun. I had a guy who got a banner and a heart, and he left the banner empty. So he would just, if he was going for supper with his mom, he'd write his mom's name in Sharpie. If he was getting a tattoo, he'd write my name in it in Sharpie. So that's kind of cool. And then probably for inspiring, I tattooed a kid who was from the Stollery cancer ward, and he came down with his mom and his aunt, and I let him kind of hold the machine and do a quick little line. He was terminal, so it was a pretty sad story, but a neat experience nonetheless. You know, I think he was maybe 10 or 12, so it's interesting. In this industry, we tattoo so many people, and after 20 years I've tattooed so many people, but that experience for them, it might be their only one tattoo, so it's interesting kind of in retrospect that you're a part of their life in a much more important way than maybe we realize we are, because they have that one memory. I have 8 memories a day, of tattoos, or however many I do, I guess, right? So when it comes to influences, there's a lot of amazing tattoo artists in the industry. Just to kind of narrow it down would be virtually impossible. I seek inspiration from all sorts of things. A lot of paintings. I do a lot of painting myself, so I think when I research and reference things, I'm certainly drawn more towards the visual arts as opposed to other tattoo artists' tattoos, and that just kind of keeps things fresh, and you're not kind of regurgitating the same reference that every client is in every shop across the world, right? So it just tries to kind of keep it a bit different and see something that people haven't seen before. With being a tattoo artist, I think there's a lot of common misconceptions. I think people think that you go to work and you do what you love every day, but I think there's a good chunk of your day where you're sort of like a musician in a cover band. You're just replicating an image or an idea for somebody. So it's not so much that I'm doing my work, and it's not something that it's not my artwork, it's not that I love it, but I think what it comes down to is that you either love the client, you love the story, you love being able to do the most technical piece that you do, and I think that that's pretty interesting. But I do love what I do every day. But I think when people think, it's not like I just come to work and get to draw on people, there's a lot of skill involved, there's a lot of variables involved. And I think the biggest misconception, again, kind of ties back to television and tattoo shows, and where, you come in and you have a consultation and I run into the back and I come back with this fully finished colored drawing, and it just doesn't work that way. There's a lot of time that goes into the artwork, often more time into the artwork than the actual tattoo. And then if you want me to even go on further with a third misconception, that the industry isn't regulated, and that's unfortunate because then you see a lot of shops popping up. A lot of people don't have their cross-contamination and bloodborne pathogen certification. It's not required. And I think because of the popularity, people don't have the education necessary to resource the tattoo artists properly. So they often come in, which is why I like cover-ups, with something that they went to a shop, and if you're in a shop and you look at a portfolio and everybody's portfolio is bad, it all looks good. So I think people don't have the education out there or ability to kind of choose a good shop wisely, and that comes down to regulating the industry. If you're looking to get your first tattoo, it's really important to do your research. And by doing your research, it's not so much as asking your friends. I think that's what we see a lot on Facebook and social media, is people recommend a good tattoo shop, and it's like, well, that guy might be really good at portraits, but if you're getting Minnie Mouse, he's probably not going to be your best artist for you. You want to look at the different shops, you want to look at what styles you see a lot of in your portfolio. Some people's portfolios are very versatile, and some are very streamlined into the style that they do. So, you don't want to go see someone like that for something that you don't see in their portfolio. And then I think taking time to ask great questions, do you have your bloodborne pathogen and cross-contamination certification? How long have you been tattooing? Are the photos in your portfolio, are they fresh? Because a fresh tattoo looks great, but a healed tattoo is something very different. Does the line work look good? Is the color in there really well? But I think the most important thing is to talk to all the artists and go with who you feel most comfortable with. If you don't feel comfortable with somebody, then you shouldn't be getting tattooed by them. It's a very personal experience, and I think it's very important that you have that connection with your artist.
Here's a look into the local shops with Dark Hour Ink in Lloydminster.
We started 10 years ago. Me and my wife opened up, and it just progressed from there.
We started actually December 22nd of 2009, so we are just about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary.
We started right down on 50th beside Dave's Auto Body, just a little tiny piece of crap shop.
Scott was all about the standards. He's very head set on what he wants in a shop, what he wants in a team, and how he wants the art to be portrayed coming out of here. I just came in with the clientele and the customers, and I was just more comfortable talking to the people, so I just did like the kind of the advertising, and Scott did the art side of it.
I think we have a very professional, clean shop here, and it's a comfortable environment. Great team for sure, yeah, and the good artwork that comes out of here. We try and do our best.
We love to practical joke. To me, it kind of feels like a family. We've been through a lot in the 10 years of our life. Lloydminster is an amazing community. When people are in need, they rally. So what we like to do is we like to help when we can. We do fundraisers here for local businesses and organizations and stuff. But it's just, we love to joke. We love to have fun. People that come in here, they are half naked all the time, most of the time when they come in. So we just want them to be comfortable. And this is going on the skin forever. So you don't want them to leave here on edge. If they're leaving with a smile, then you win. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day, whatever happens, I always ask our artists, did they leave with a smile? That's the main thing, because then you know they left happy. And that's what we want. We just want people to be comfortable and to be happy and to love what they get. It all goes back to the tattoo that Scott got on his face. Since the day that we met, he's always been about the darkness of the tattoo. He wants it something to last over time because it is forever. And then the hour is because we charge hourly. And then the ink, well, for obvious reasons, is because to layeth the black, well, to layeth the ink into the skin. It was a fun night. Yeah, it's just become our brand. One of the girls that's been working with us the longest, her name's Kat Rothschild. She started with us almost 6 years ago, and she's been a complete asset to the team. We've been through a lot in the last 5 years that she started with us, and so it's been wonderful to see her grow. And then we have Madeline Dell, who is just new in the industry. She recently finished her apprenticeship, and so we jumped on her, and she's been with us for just over a year. And so it's just been amazing to watch her grow because she's confident and she's like clean. She came in with the standards, and yeah, and it's just a fun team here. It's just fun. It's fun coming to work every day.
I was always good at drawing. I used to draw arm sleeves, rock logos on jean jackets and stuff like that before I started tattooing. So I started out with guitar, string, spoon, and a Walkman motor. The tattoo machines have really evolved over time too. Now they don't make no noise and they're like a pen. The inks to the tattoo machine to the artwork itself has really evolved. The realism in tattoo nowadays has become a big thing. I do a few different styles. I like doing the black and gray realism, and I like doing neo-traditional color as well. I've been well influenced by Bob Tyrell, he's a black and gray artist, and Nico Hurtado, he's a color portrait artist. So I went to a seminar with them and I really liked the style. Too many people think they can tattoo. It takes a lot of training and ability to be able to focus and do what tattoo artists do, you know, so it takes a lot of training and hard work and dedication. Definitely do research on different artists that you can apprentice under, make sure they have the right qualifications and background before you even want to learn anything from them. The designing is the hardest part of it for me. A lot of people want so many different elements put into one piece, so it's probably the designing aspect is the hardest part of it. It really relaxes me, you know. I feel comfortable and confident in what I'm doing, so it's something that I always wanted to do. I still use the old coil machines once in a while for lining. I like the heaviness to it, and just for different technique and different styles, you use different machines. Yeah, it was just traditional heavy line, solid color when I started tattooing, just all flash. Now it's a lot more freehand flow and bigger pieces. My wife is a huge Pink fan. We were going to her concert, so she got P!NK on her armpit. So when her arms were in the air, she seen it, and she signed her blinged out jacket because of it at the concert. So that was a pretty exciting moment. Do research, for sure. Look at lots of portfolio books, you know, and think about what placement on the body you want to have that tattoo for the rest of your life.
Portfolios. You know, Scott touched a bit on it. It's just more or less, not necessarily to get in here, but to give everybody an opportunity. Because you want to ask the questions, you want to get that personal rapport with even the front desk person. Because if they're not going to look you in the eye and they're not going to answer your questions, and in this building, in this shop, no question is a stupid question. So I just tell people to look at portfolios, ask the right questions, get a personal feeling for the shop and the person you're talking to, because first impressions are everything. These are forever. So when you're not just putting something on the skin, because you don't want to have to, once it's done, you don't want to have to do anything to it. And I was this person once before, but when you're uneducated, you don't know the questions to ask. So I don't really want to pick and choose. I just say, ask your questions, get a personal rapport, and really see how you feel about that person, and then make your decisions, right? Because it's going to be forever, it's not going anywhere.
It's become way more mainstream now. There's older people want tattoos that had bad feelings about it their whole life, but now they're falling more into it, and it's becoming bigger through everybody now. And it was only certain people that got tattoos back when I started 27 years ago.
Here's a look into Solace Ink in Lloydminster.
I've been tattooing off and on since 1999. The shop is the first shop I worked at, Solace Ink. It is just over 1 year old. It was 13 months. I was passing through Lloydminster, and this is how I ended up here. I was leaving Blue Valley and Meadow Lake. I was going to go tattooing with my cousin in Vancouver. But yeah, I met the shop owners, Byron and Joe and Sheena, and they gave me a place to tattoo.
Solace Ink came about after we had purchased Steel Dragon. We started with that for a little bit, then we changed up the name, the company, the building, everything to do with it.
The atmosphere at Solace is pretty laid back. Tough dudes, solid people, good tats.
The atmosphere at Solace Ink is very relaxed, very comfortable. It's quiet when you first come in. If one of us aren't here and the tattoo artist is, he's very quiet. Patrick, he's very stand-up guy, very quiet, respectable, honest, hardworking. I've not met another artist like him that comes in every day and goes that extra mile. He'll stay late. He works around everybody else's schedule. That, in my perspective, is a very good artist. Somebody that's willing to work around everybody else's schedules, make sure they get the tattoo they deserve.
I got more than enough time to help you get all the way through your tattoo. And if you have to come back, and I'm pretty flexible for touch-ups and stuff like that. So there's always more that I can do to a tattoo. My style of tattooing is black and gray. I like to tattoo just about anything, but it's more of a walk-in style right now. When I started tattooing, I started tattooing usually what everybody else does. It starts with stick and poke. I went on to ripping apart my CD players to make tattoo machines. I started using coil machine. I used the coil machine. That's what everybody usually sees on the TV shows. And now I'm using more of hybrid style machines that are pretty much top of the line. In the last 10, 15 years, the tattoo machines have changed so much that there's so much out there. I started drawing when I was about 16, and I didn't really draw a whole lot until I became 18, and that's when I started doing tattoos on myself and friends. It was a big ant that took a long time. It was the first tattoo. I put a big ant on my brother's leg, on the side of his leg. He still has it. My favorite thing about being a tattoo artist would most likely be meeting people and making friends and meeting collectors and helping them through their tattoo journey and exploring people's mind and their feelings and what they're trying to bring out of their body to put on their body. My inspirations in becoming a tattoo artist were skateboard magazines and tattoo magazines and a lot of boring classes in school, to be honest. Think about your first tattoo, and that would be my advice, is like where you want to put it, or just think about who you want your first tattoo to come from too. There's so many common misconceptions, but one is that people think that we're really fast at what we do, and that stenciling doesn't take too much time, but really it does take a lot of time. Like butt tats are always weird. I've done a couple here. Most of my inspirational artists have always been in the same shop since they've started. And so that's how I see it. Hopefully I wouldn't want Solace to go any other way.